everyone, it's Gary. Today I was graced with the notification from Flight Simulator that it had to update the game. It was a 600 or 700, I guess, closer to 700 megabyte download, and then an installation process of the patches afterwards. And after it was done, I was actually quite happy with the fact that the frame rates per second increased, and I was actually able to increase my settings back to max completely, or ultra. And only until I hit Toronto today did I start getting a decrease. And I don't know if it's because I ran out of whatever you call it there, out of cached scenery from Toronto, and it had to reload. I don't know. But anyways, other than the Toronto hassle I had so far today, I've been very pleased with the frame rates per second. Autopilot didn't seem to be too much better than it used to be. And I also noticed some displays turning off as I got closer to the airports and dimming. I don't know what that was because it happened on 2 of the aircraft. But other than that, I definitely was pleased with the upgrade in performance. There was only 2 slowdowns out of about an hour and a half of flying. One of them was actually over water in clouds, which was a little different, and at high altitude. And the other one was arriving into Toronto. So let's get right into the footage, and I do have some footage with the frame rates, and let's take a look at all that. Okay, so in this first clip, I'm flying the King Air into Thunder Bay International Airport, and the biggest thing I want you to watch is the frame rates. I'm pretty sure there was only a couple of times where I was below 24 frames per second, but for the most part, I was above 30, and or around 30, I guess. But the coolest part is, while I'm filming this and doing everything, I'm also recording, so you lose a good 5 frames per second while recording footage. So overall, the quality of the flight simulator is definitely improved, and I'm hoping when I finally render this video, it's noticeable on how well the videos I am doing are rendering. Not as much choppiness and stuff like that, because obviously if the simulator's choppy, some other stuff happens, right? So anyways, so here's the landing in Thunder Bay, and if you look in the center, for some reason my center display was gone and the other one was dim. I don't know what happened there. If anybody else has had that happen, feel free to comment. But that was the first kind of weird thing for me, that hey, where did the displays go? And until it happened on the A320, I thought maybe I had hit a switch wrong. I don't know if this clip goes into when I park or not, but I was looking down to see if I hit any avionics switches or anything like that. But for the most part, even with recording this clip, the frame rates were generally between 20 to 30, which is actually really good. And for those of you who have watched any of my other videos, you would know that I have an entry-level, I'm assuming it's entry-level gaming laptop. It's the MSI GL65 9SD or 95D. I can't tell by the writing on there. But anyways, so this landing went really well, and I'm very happy with how the simulator was performing today after this update. I didn't really care too much about everything else in the update. I mean, there's so much stuff that, you know, I may notice, I may not notice. I've just, my love for this game is for the scenery and how well the scenery is displayed. The other good news is the scenery didn't look too much different. However, today I was able to notice a little bit more of the difference that turning off anisotrophic filtering does. That's my go-to thing. But today I was really able to notice the distance not looking so great when I turn it off. It may have always been like that, but today I just finally realized, okay, this is where I'm losing quality to gain some frame rates. So if I have to go to it, I don't mind it. But in the end, I settled at 8 times today instead of the 4 or 2 times that I was doing in the busy areas. So yeah, it was actually a very good experience for me. So the next clip that I'm going to have for you in just a second here is it's going to be clips from the A320 Neo flight from Thunder Bay to Toronto. The departure from Thunder Bay was fantastic, and pretty much everything was good until about halfway through the flight when I had the first drop in frames, and and then Toronto where it got really slow. So let's take a look at this clip. So for a reminder, make sure that you set Flight Simulator to high priority in your task manager. I kind of was there for a second on the screen. So I've sped up the pushback at Thunder Bay Airport, and it's going to show you the taxi and all the way up to the takeoff, because I wanted you to see that at the airport, definitely a good amount of frame rates while on the ground with traffic. And then on taxi and takeoff. And the funny thing is, my normal drop in frames would be as soon as I lift off the ground and start looking around, it just seemed like I would lose some frames. But in this case, it actually seemed to improve once I got out of the airport and into the air. After departing, this was where my autopilot headache came back on full force. All I wanted to do was climb, and I hit the altitude, and it started the plane climbing at like over 6,000 feet per minute, almost to the point of stalling. Oh, and I want to point this out too. I thought they were going to fix this drone camera. Why do you not have the ability to control the aircraft when you select drone camera? I wanted to do some nice footage, but you got to be able to still steer and fly the airplane, or else you're going to go into the grass like what had just happened there. All right, so if you're watching closely the frame rates, again, all settings are on ultra. Frame rates around 28, 29, 30, 25s. Either way, I mean, getting into the below 20 was very normal, and that was without doing recording of videos with the Airbuses. The smaller airplanes were pretty good, but the A320s and 747s were not so great. I haven't tried the 747 yet, so I'm going to be interested to see if that's improved at all. So anyways, we'll watch the departure and just keep an eye on those frame rates. 29 right now. After departure out of Thunder Bay, they stay up around 29 and 30. And yeah, overall, very enjoyable takeoff with the aircraft today after this update. There is a small drop here during the roll, but I was expecting more of a drop after the takeoff. But you'll see that the frame rates actually increase a little bit once we get airborne. So now landing gears in, looking around, and now we're actually climbing in frame rates, which is great, as we are climbing into the air too. Yep, around this point is where the autopilot messes up, and I'm already really close to a stall because I was trying to monitor stuff, and you know, I'm just one of those great pilots that while I'm looking into stuff on the screen, and so about here, I think I click on the autopilot for climb, and then all of a sudden, the climb rate was like 55 to 6,000 feet per minute, and I almost stalled. So I don't know. Maybe I just don't know how to fly an Airbus plane. So used to flying Boeings in the other games like X-Plane and so on. So either way, frame rates are great. Now we're up to 30 frames per second as we're climbing. There are clouds out, and there were 3 layers of clouds, I believe, once I got to the middle of the water. So the next segment here, I'll be able to show you where there was a weird slowdown out over the water, and I don't know where that came from. So as you can see, the majority of the flight through the clouds was great until around here, and it just all of a sudden kind of dropped to below 20 frames per second for a bit. Once I got back into the aircraft, it kind of started going up again, but then started counting down again. So I don't know, must have been the specific cloud formation or something, because I was over the lakes at this point. Shouldn't have been a lot of ground scenery at all other than water. But yeah, the outside view just was not happy here. As you can see, it even drops even more. I zoom in, still dropping. So it must have something to do with the type of clouds, or maybe there was a few extra layers of clouds I didn't see at that point. But yeah, that was really the main slowdown during the in-flight, and it did get better after, but I don't know what had happened there. All right, so that brings us to the last portion of the flight, arriving into Toronto. So at this point, flying into southern Ontario, just a few scattered clouds. The frame rates really aren't all that much better, so I don't know if the clouds were just dropping about 5 maybe frames per second, maybe 6. But yeah, we're at 35 right now, which I don't know how often that was seen with the A320 at least. I know the Cessna I was getting 30 normally. So I haven't even tried flying the Cessnas yet because, well, I wanted to try out the performance of the planes that were giving me problems. So the real problem started once we got to Toronto. So this is where we get into one of those weird autopilot things here with the descent rate. I don't know why this happens, but somehow the plane just decides it's going to start descending a lot more than I wanted it to. So yeah, I don't know. I let it do this for the sake of this video. And it's funny, as soon as the plane started to drop, the frame rate started to drop. The frame rates did end up returning for a little bit, going right back up to 36. I had descended at this point down to, I believe, 7,000 feet. If you go back into the flight deck, you'll see that. But yeah, definitely a huge decrease in the frames start up once Toronto starts getting into the distance, I guess. So here we have the first, like we're definitely in range of Toronto, within 30 miles to Pearson. Here we have the first consistent drop in frame rates down to around 24, down to 18 at some points. Again, this could be because the scenery wasn't cached. I also haven't restarted the computer. So when I did this recording, could be possible that a nice fresh CPU restart would have been good, but I didn't do it. I just wanted to get this tested out. So here we go. Yeah, I don't think I got back up to 30 frames per second on the rest of the approach to Toronto. So I was wrong. I do get a boost in frames again after going to the outside view of the aircraft. So clearly the cockpits, glass cockpits, avionics, all that stuff, and some of the aircraft are still having an effect on the planes, which is, it's not to be it's not a surprise, I guess. And one thing that is a surprise to me is that they put a glass cockpit refresh rate into the graphics settings. I believe they were on medium for me today, and I noticed it right away in the when I was flying the Cessna Caravan. It looked like there was stutters in frame rates, but it was just the updating of the glass cockpit. I find it very frustrating when the glass cockpits are not smooth, so I'm not sure why that's even a consideration. Maybe some people don't care. Maybe during the middle of the flight it's good, or if you're going to an airport like this, but I feel a glass cockpit that is stuttering or not updating as frequently is almost as annoying as the scenery not. It looks like the computer's not working very well. So getting closer and closer to the city, which again is not a surprise. The frames are pretty much cut in half. The only thing that might have been adjusted at this point would have been the anisotropic filtering. But there is a point that I will show here where you can clearly see that difference, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be turning that down if I don't have to, because the distant scenery does look significantly worse when you turn that down. Again, for all the graphics nuts out there, probably not a surprise. I think we actually will see that here. So yes, I had it at 16 times. I brought it back to 4, and you will see right away the scenery off in the distance just looks crazy. All right, so I've sped up the landing sequence here. Just watch the frame rates; they go up a little bit, down a little bit. I do some more adjusting. The other thing that I've noticed, and I noticed this in X-Plane 11, it seems sometimes like when you take scenery down a notch, it actually slows it down even more. And somebody had mentioned to me that it is possible that when a game or simulator has to take things away, it actually has to work as well. So I kind of believe that sometimes, because I've been noticing that playing this game on Ultra for me seems to be better than with high-end selected, which again is very odd. Well, not high-end, but some of the features being knocked down. And here's the displays. The displays disappeared on me again during the approach. So I'm going to be watching that on later flights. I don't know what happened. I had to turn them on. So I was kind of flying VFR 100% for a couple seconds on this approach. But yeah, definitely not the frame rates I was getting in the smaller airports. And I was kind of used to it with the A320. So I guess for me, it's like, it's not surprising this happened, but it kind of was too bad considering the improvements at a non-Toronto location right now. So Toronto has one of the handcrafted airports. It is possible that they're still kind of causing a drag on the simulator. But yeah, I might get up to maybe 20 frames on this approach. Not the kind that I had into Thunder Bay being over 30. And in all fairness, I was recording during this time, and also my hard drive was running out of space too. So it is possible that the lack of hard drive space, I still had over 30 gigs left, but that's not a whole lot of disk space left. So it is possible that that played a factor in this slowdown. So once I clean up a few of the clips that I have on here, I'm going to try this scenario again, see how it goes. But I just wanted to give everybody the opportunity to see on this entry-level laptop of mine how well the update was for Flight Simulator 2020 today. A lot of little things addressed that I honestly don't care too much about. I mean, I care, but I don't. They're just things that, you know, most of them I didn't notice just because, again, I'm just here for the scenery and flying around. Until they really make some good commercial airliners that are more realistic. So to me, it didn't really bother me if a few things were missing, but the frame rate's definitely an improvement that I'm happy to see. And I don't know, an airplane just appeared in front of me on the runway again. I was going to look back and I'm like, no, I'm just going to pretend that didn't happen. So I hope you guys are all having an improvement after this happens, this update. These are mandatory, so you kind of have to get them, or at least I'm on the Game Pass version right now. So they are mandatory for sure before I can continue playing. And so far I've been pretty happy with them, but I really only did 2 flights so far. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Have yourselves a wonderful evening, and we will talk in the next video. Thanks again for watching. If you liked this video, please like it on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to share it to your friends. And as always, if you ever have any questions or would like me to do a video on anything, please put it in the comments and or message me directly. I'm also on Facebook as well as Twitter. It's very simple on the airplanes. Thanks a lot for watching again. Goodbye.